Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ham Radio Basics Live, Season 3, Episode 34, Ham Radio News and Updates, October 1st, 2025. It's already October. This year has absolutely flown by. Welcome, Andy. Welcome, Cooley. Thank you guys for stopping by this afternoon. For those of you watching us on X, on Twitter, feel free to click the link for the YouTube that's on there, and you can join the chat with us. And we have a pretty good lively chat. Couple of updates from me personally. New choppers. Okay. Last Thursday, I think. Yeah, it was last Thursday. Went to my dentist's office, 3 hours in the chair. Yeah, that was a real fun experience. But what they did was I got my second set attempts in, and these were further back. On my first set of attempts, they were big, and that's something that Valerie commented on, was how big they were compared to what my normal teeth were. And these are much better. Everything's easier. The only thing I've been getting used to, hey Jeff, welcome. The only thing I've been getting used to is I have to, every time, whenever they change out temps, chewing's a little bit different because of the way they're placed in the mouth. And also speech is a little bit different. So I sound like, when I'm talking, sometimes, it sounds like I'm lisping or whatever. And I've talked to Valerie, and she said, you're fine. And my other friends, I had my drone show last night. Everybody said I was fine. So, but on Friday I go and hopefully I get my permanence in. Now, one of the funny things was, not funny, but what they do is when you have full mouth implants on the bottom, they put these metal posts in all the way in the back on the left and right side of your mouth, and they're called abutments, and they're there to guide the dentist and the technicians for when they place the arches in. Okay, so last Friday, as part of the process, they removed the abutments. All right, and gave me some Novocaine, so there wasn't any pain. But boy, oh boy, it was pretty uncomfortable, and it's like the old. You probably have seen the cartoon, maybe Bugs Bunny or Roadrunner or whatever, where the dentist is up on the lap, on that person's lap, and literally with a pair of pliers pulling them out. Well, it wasn't that extreme, but get the picture. Okay, they used something that looked like pliers to get it out, and it's a lot of noise. Okay, and there was also a lot of noise. The reason my appointment took so long was they had to adjust my new arches. And because they were further back, and everything has to line up. I mean, it has to be a perfect fit. But really pleased with these, and hopefully Friday I get some good news and get some permanence in. And yeah, and life is different as far as brushing your teeth is concerned. We'll get to Ham Radio here in a minute, I promise, guys. One of the things that you have to do is you have to buy a water pick, and you have to use it every day, because one of the things with the arches is it will trap food in there very, very easily. I mean, even more so from what I understand than like dentures or anything like that. So you got to be super careful and super diligent about that. So all in all, really happy with that. Very good. Very, very, very pleased. Very good news. Very muy bueno, as they say. So, all right. And Jeff, your encouragement, I looked up your friend who we all know. Yeah, I have heard that too, Jeff. Yeah, that's not, I mean, well, for the whole procedure, when I had all my teeth out, like twilight sleep, I was gone. I woke up almost 3/4 of the way through it. They gave me some more. And then, next thing I know, I was in a wheelchair. They're wheeling me to the car. So, yeah. But yeah, I know what you're saying. All right, about that. I've heard horror stories. I actually had to go. This was back in the day before oral surgeons did things in the office. And my dentist, who was an oral surgeon back at the time when I was 13, So had to go to the hospital, have anesthesia, take me to the operating room to get him out. So yeah, that was long time ago, galaxy far away. All right, and Jeff, I got to thank you because I ended up finding your friend, Tom, who does Ham Radio A to Z, and I went out there and looked. Now he does have a video, and I'm going to go ahead and display this on here because I've been on a little bit of a mission, and I haven't had too much luck here. But Tom has said in this video, this was kind of like a teaser on the FTX one, where he did his likes and dislikes and just some basic stuff. And Tom is just like, wow. And Jeff, you know him. He is just so good with this. I mean, wow. I mean, and he only has 33,000 subscribers. I mean, really, okay. This guy should have, 100,000 plus. The way he does things, Tom is just fantastic. Anyway, he's talking about using the FTX one as a mobile rig. He didn't have any other videos except for this one, and I'm real curious as to how he did his setup and how he got it set up in there. And hopefully, I'm going to email him and see if maybe he can take us through how he got it set up. But and his explanation of things, I don't know what it is about Tom, but I can tell you this. And Jeff, you know him. He's so easy to understand, and he says it a very straightforward, clear, concise, easy manner, easy to pick up. And it's renewed my interest in the FTX one after watching this video. I mean, Tom, like I said, he's going to come out with some tutorials for this, and this is like, okay, you know what? I think this may have, this may have sold me on another radio. Hey, Adam, welcome. Thank you for stopping by this afternoon. It's completely, I would say I had maybe been on the fence to not look at getting this, but now it's the other way around. It really has made such a big difference. And again, it's Tom's style. It's very laid back, very easy to understand, very clear, very succinct. And, that's one of the things that I really, really like about it. I still have not found, and I'm really interested in seeing a setup video on how people have set these up as a mobile rig. And if any of you guys come across this, shoot me an email at hamradiobasics@gmail.com or message me on X and send me a link and let me know, because I'm really curious as to how people got these set up. Now I know, oh, wow. Okay, Jeff. That's cool. That's very cool. And for me with this, I think it almost sounds like it's a perfect mobile type of rig. It really does for what it offers. I mean, having the combinations of HF, UHF, VHF all in one, I know this is more of a doable thing than say like putting a 705 in a car. I don't know too many people that have done that. Okay. And I really haven't done any research on that, but I think this is more in tune with being able to do some of these things. And anyway, I'm looking forward to Tom's series in this. It should be really, really, really good. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for me. I'm really kind of excited after watching Tom's video. It really kind of piqued my interest on this. And I think this is something I'm definitely going to explore. And, I wish I had an unlimited pocketbook, because, what I would probably gear this towards would be to have it as a setup in the car. And I would probably end up buying a second like Optima or a base unit to have it at home, just take the head off to do something like that. If that could be arranged, I don't know. I don't know if that's something that could be done, but I would love to do that, because I think this would be serve as a good base unit at home too. So yeah, that's I'm so glad that you told me about it, about your friend Jeff, Tom. And like I said, I think he does fantastic work. His videos are great. I mean, the videos on the 7300 and the 705, it's just like, wow. He really, I can't say enough about that. Okay. All right. Going to kind of move on here. What we're going to do today is I posted a lot of things out on X, out on Twitter, and we're going to walk through some of these things. And yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and walk through some of these things, and I can talk and chew gum at the same time, or walk and talk and chew gum at the same time here. So okay, all right. Somebody posted a picture back in the day. I had to post it. Radio Shack back in the day. It looks like in the 70s, because I think that's a Chevy Vega and an Impala right there. So that looks really cool. This setup right here. Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. I don't know if it's working or storage or what, but that's pretty amazing. That is absolutely, positively pretty amazing. Now, I get a really big kick out of seeing people looking at these old rigs like this Yaesu right here, Yaesu FT101 E. It's a demonstration. I mean, I really like seeing that, and it's amazing that there are people out there that know about these rigs, can be able to use them and be able to service them as well too. Because I mean, electronics from when that first came out to now have certainly changed, and it takes a person with a great set of skills to be able to maintain something like that. So, this right here, this is fantastic. I really like this. This gentleman said, I have very little space to mount antennas, can manage just one telescopic pole on my tiny terrace. Hence, I put up all my HF antennas on the same pole, 40-meter full wave loop antenna with ladder line, 80 meter dipole, and 40-meter inverted V-type dipole. Okay. And, and I made the comment on here, that's one of the wonderful things about our hobby. And I think you guys would agree with me is, being innovative and, being creative and having, there's just there's so much diversification in our hobby. And this is one of the things that I really like. I mean, he had to get innovative because of limited space. And sure enough, he's out there. He's able to get his antenna up, and it's functioning. And kudos to him for doing that. That's fantastic. Again, necessity obviously is the mother of invention. He's very limited on space, so he came up with this idea, and hopefully it's working for him well. That's something you definitely want to take a look at the video. Found that to be very interesting here. Okay. Blast from the past here, a Cobra 20,000 GTL. Okay. Wow. Okay. Like I said, that's a real blast from the past right there. That's without a doubt. Okay. The second half of the month catapulted September numbers to the top. So far, the best DX conditions on the 17 to 10 meter bands in solar cycle 25 in September. It's not over yet. I'm very excited about October and November. So things are improving as far as band conditions are concerned, because I know I've seen a lot of people just, they're going, oh my gosh. It's like, trying to get on for the, to just, whether they're doing POTA or they just want a rag stew out there. It's, the bands haven't been very cooperative lately. And this is one of the things, this is why I always say to people, and I think it's so important for all you guys, especially new hands as well, that one of the things that you should do before you're going to go play radio for the day, whether you're going to go do POTA, SOTA, whether you're just going to be, out and about, or just rag chew or just DX, it's so important to check solar conditions for the day, because it really makes a big difference if you know what's going on out there. And I know I've covered this before in areas to look at, and there's plenty of places. Dr. Tamitha Solov that's what she does day in and day out, and she has a account out on X on Twitter, and she does have a website as well too. I mean, you need to check that out every day if you're going to go out and do things. Okay, it's just like, don't blindly go out to 10 meters or 40 meters and the band, solar conditions are such that the band, it's going to be horrible to try to get on. So yeah, that's just, not all hams are created equal. Some know CW. Okay. I mean, kudos to all you guys that know CW. I mean, kudos. Will I pick it up? Yeah, I'm going to be retiring in the next year or so. So I might try it. I don't know. I know there is a really steep learning curve, and I know some things have come along to help people get indoctrinated and get used to it. And one of the things I think for me that's really kind of piqued my interest with it is the 7300 MK2 that's coming out that has the built-in CW decoder. And I think that'll be interesting just watching that. So seeing that in action, it may prompt me to want to do this. But again, that's going to be down the road for me because that's going to require, I think, a lot of due diligence on my part in being able to study it and pick it up and know what's going on. So, okay. All right, here. It was supposed to be a rest day. Look at the antenna farm that he has here. Wow. No rest for the weary. I put on that. Okay. This was fantastic. I saw this and I said, okay, this is just so good. Okay. Saw this last night on Facebook. Funny guy on 7.200 got busted by the FCC. And I put under there, play stupid games, get stupid prizes. Okay. I just like, and this is something that I tell my friends at, my drone friends out there, thinking, you will get caught. Okay. Like the FCC, you go out there and you do these things. Okay. And they're going to catch you. Okay. Hams have, I'd like to think that we're doing a better job of policing the bans. I know it's not always the case, but in some areas, I'm sure that's how the FCC found out about this clown and they were able to nip him in the bud because this is just, it's a bad actor and wreaking havoc, and it's just a sad ham. People, these are almost always, like we talk about sad hams, they're almost always people that want to get attention. All right. And, and they may have been rejected by a club or didn't fit in and all this kind of stuff, but they need to find somebody to pair up with, to be friends with, and who has ham radio and get them out there doing the right kind of things. I think it's so important to do that because, these sad hams, they were probably once good hams and something happened, and, it'd be nice to bring them back into the fold and have them doing things that hams should do to help our hobby along, not hinder it. So that's my 2 cents worth on that here. Okay. Playing with Meshtastic today, put a note up on Solar Beam's mast and found another node, height as might. Okay. It's fantastic to people that are doing this with Meshtastic. I mean, my kudos to you guys. And again, that's something else for me. I haven't dived into that yet. Like I said, there's so many parts to this hobby. It's just absolutely fantastic. But that's something that I haven't dived into yet. But I'm taking a look at, and I'm thinking about, when I retire, that, these are things that are going to be on my plate because I'll have, my number one goal, my number one thing every day will be taking care of my social media accounts, whether it's drones, whether it's ham radio, whether it's my hockey podcast that I do. I have I'll have a lot of wonderful irons in the fire. So yeah. And I won't have to be getting up every day and signing in and logging into work. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Saw this. Okay. If it was only this easy. Okay. RF boost in a can and rapid radio repair in a can. Okay. If life was only that simple and that easy. All right. Whoever came up with this was just absolutely fantastic. I love that. One of the things that ham radio lets us do is, we can talk to people all over the world, which, a lot of times you don't stop and think about it. But when you do, it's pretty awesome and pretty cool to be able to do that. One of the things besides that drove me to get my amateur and to go up there is to be able to do that. At first, I wanted to be able to get an HT and be able to use it for emergency communication, because of hurricanes. And then it evolved into more and more. And the more I found out, it's like you can talk to people all over the world in just some exotic locations. And you get your, from when I first started, to me, it was like, oh, you're getting a postcard. No, you're getting a card, URL card. for that. And I just think it's just absolutely, positively cool. Okay. This was fantastic here. Okay. Vacuum tube. All right. I mean, seriously, this is one of these ones that's a keeper. I really like that. I'm going to save it because I like that so much. That's just absolutely fantastic here. This is why you need to pay attention to solar weather here. Okay. Another geomagnetic storm in progress. And, again, go out to these resources on a daily basis. If you're not going to play radio for the day, don't really worry about it. But if you want to get out there, if you want to check out 10 meters is, 40 meters, 17, you need to get out and check the solar weather and see how it is, because it will make a big difference. You go out there and you're not making any contacts and you're wondering why, and then you come back home and you take a look at the solar weather. There's a solar storm going on. I mean, it's just, you're not going to get anybody because there's nobody on. So that's just part of the name of the game here. Okay. I added markings to indicate the number of coil turns. Okay. This is one of the things, when you're using coils like this, it's so important to do that. Okay. And whether you use a magic marker or some other kind of indicator for that, it makes such a big difference, because you don't have to go back, and hunt and peck and try to find, if you're looking for 10 meters or 40 meters or 17, you don't have to go in each time and do that. Okay. Which I think is fantastic. If you have it marked, that's where it's going to be. All you got to do is slide it along, get it in there, and boom, you're set. You're good to go. Okay. And that's why I love coil antennas. All right. And you need to know which one is which, what you're marking on there. So you may want to use different set of magic markers for that. That's just a tip as far as that's concerned. Okay. Back in the day, a vintage workbench and station here. Wow. Okay. Wow. Look at the desk. The desk looks really, really old. And it looks like an up-to-date rig over there. I don't know if that is maybe an Elecraft or maybe a Kenwood over there on the right, but all the vintage equipment there. That's pretty incredible. All right. Quan Shang has come out with some new radios, and the TK11.5 and TK11.8 series operation guide. Probably want to go out there and take a look at these. And again, one of the things that I highly encouraged you guys to get, and our good friend Steve from Temporarily Offline and Smoking Ape, they have some great series of videos on the Tiny Ultra essays to go out there and to be able to check the radios to make sure that they're not, that these radios are safe to use. And it will tell you that. Now, they're fantastic. One of the things that I do tell people is okay, let's say, it bleeds over and you really can't use it to transmit on. You can always use these to listen on. And, I've seen so many guys, some guys may have 30 plus HTs sitting there, and some they just, and what's nice is when you have that many and you can get them for cheap, you can monitor different frequencies on them, and that's all you need to do. Like I said, you don't necessarily need to be able to talk on each on an HT. My HT that I use to talk on is my Yaesu FT5DR. Okay, that's what I use, and because I know it's not going to have, it's going to have a pure signal on that, or as close to a pure signal as possible. And I highly recommend that if you guys get multiple, some of these HTs like Quan Shang or Baofangs or, anything along those lines, or something from Radio Oddity, to get a Tiny Ultra SA and follow like what the Smoking Ape or Steve from Temporarily Offline has done, be able to test them, to be able to see, are they transmitting what they should or not. So again, just some more to the wise right here. Stay hydrated while you wait for band conditions to approve. Okay, this is just wow, too good. All right, absolutely too good. And again, another day of solar flares and solar storms, and this was today. So just be advised on something like that. Somebody having a great QSO. Both of us operating on CW. And here's a real blast from the past: the Helicrafters SX100 receiver on there. This is, it looks like a good microphone option. Somebody had advertised that there. This was interesting here. Okay. This is the one computer you can take with you, announcing the, and I got to bring it back up here. The Donner's Model 3500 is a full-fledged analog computer, weighing just 28 pounds, designed for engineers, educators, and scientists. It can be used to study almost any physical system that can be described by differential equations. So, absolutely fantastic. I thought that was really cool, and just a very simple setup, and it works for him, and he really enjoys that right there. Okay, this was a great T-shirt, in line of that guy who was on 7.2 and got trounced by the FCC, which was good. And it says, "I monitor 7.20000. It's cheaper than cable TV." Yeah, that's really the case here. Okay, 6 years in operation and still going strong. That's a great antenna setup that this gentleman has right here. And the beautiful thing about this, October 1946 issue of Popular Science, where beginners were shown how to get on the air with a compact 80-meter code transmitter. How about that? That's way back in the day right there. Here. Ham radio is all about experimenting, but safely here. And, that's one of the things, whenever you do this, you need to be careful. You need to follow guidelines. You need to follow instructions. You need to have that ARRL reference manual by your side. You also need to have the internet by your side, and you need to be careful. You just really, because electricity can be unforgiving, and you need to know what you're doing, basically. Okay, because if you need anything complex to get it repaired, you need to take it to a qualified electrician to do things like that. Okay, here's more of the Quanshangs right here. This is a chart that outlines the differences between those two radios right there. 1960s novice station, homebrew transmitter, Hallicrafter's SX71 receiver. So, yeah, very interesting. MHECC Antennas Unlimited, another good review. 4-to-1 dual core current Ballon, 5 product stars, very well made. A bit of a kit, works well. So if that interests you, and then Jim from our good friends here at Ham Radio Prep, Starlink versus ham radio in emergencies. That's a good video on that. A reminder: tomorrow's APRS Thursday. Per mic, this is just another antenna. This ham radio tube mic. You want it world's okayest antenna, the Just Okay Mini. Excuse me. Does your CQV meter cause RF? We tested, and that's a great video from Steve. You definitely want to take a look at that as well too. Here, Walt did a great video on LiFePO for batteries for portable ham radio use. And I want to stop and talk about this for a minute here. Many of you guys, I do drones too, and we use lithium-ion batteries, and the battery chemistry is completely different. This is a great video from Walt because you need to know things like, for example, how long, because you may not need these for several months. How do you do long-term storage with these? I know, like lithium-ion batteries, you can charge them to 60% and they'll stay there like that. This is a different case here. Okay, lithium-ion batteries are the ones that can cause fires and things. LiFePO batteries, not so much. But again, watch this video from Walt because it's very educational on how to do this. I would highly, highly, highly recommend that. Jason took us on a tour, Jason Ham Radio 2.0, of Main Trading Company, Richard, down in Paris, Texas. And I'm sure many of you know who Richard is. So definitely you want to check out that video. He goes over. They have a smaller storefront set up here because most of their sales are online. Somebody picked up amateur radio on the International Space Station contact today, so you may want to go ahead and check that out here. That's why it's so important to promote your videos on other social media to get word of mouth out. YouTube's algorithm, and one of the things, if you guys are doing videos out here and you want to get people to see them, okay, don't rely on YouTube notifying people that have subscribed to your channel. get out there on social media, put a post out there. That's why you see me advertising, for the show when it's on Wednesdays and whenever I drop other videos or other things, because don't rely, YouTube's algorithm can be really wacky and hard to understand, and it may not get out there, because I know I haven't gotten notifications on half the channels that I'm subscribed to, and I should be getting them, and I don't. And I don't know what's going on with that. So the best way to get your videos out there and let people know about them is to get out there on social media, on Instagram, on X, on Facebook, and just send them with links. This is a great book from Julian, and I'm going to be getting a copy myself, and I'm probably also going to be getting a copy to give away. Off-grid power for emergency communications. Julian's a master at that. Absolutely, positively. My one friend here who lives in Tampa, he's been monitoring airport frequencies on his HTs, and he ended up picking up Jacksonville today. And here's our video from Tom. FTX1 likes issues tutorial tees right there. So, that's it for today as far as that's concerned. And just, not really a commentary per se, but, a lot of because I'm in the drone space as well too, coming up at the end of the year, if a security audit isn't done on DJI, the maker of almost all the drones that we use here in the United States, they could be banned for at least 2 or 3 years from the United States. A lot of us are preparing like it is going to happen, so, we're trying to get things up to speed with all that. But what I'm saying in essence is, I know there was a link that I don't know how I missed it, but you want to get on there. It's the ARRL has put that out, is to pressure Congress into signing legislation to allow us to be able to set up antennas like in HOAs, to make it legal to be able to do that. I know there's been, both Democrats and Republicans have done that, so kudos to them. Go out there. It's a self-made form. You just fill out a few lines and boom, you're done. It sends a letter to your congressmen and senators. So it's definitely, you want to do that. And the other thing is, a lot of people say a lot of things about ARRL, and they could use some cleaning up and everything. But I'll tell you what, they're out there. They're defending the spectrum for us. They're defending our airwaves for us, so we can be able to enjoy our wonderful hobby. We don't have anything like that in the drone space, and I believe if we did, things would probably be different in the drone space right now. So, as bad as they are, let's hope that maybe ARRL can modernize and change and adapt and be able to give us great service, because that's one thing that they do need to do. But I'm very thankful that we have them as a voice with Congress and the government. So that's all I got for today, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. As always, remember, it's a great day to make a QSO. 7 3s, everybody. See you next week.